Shalom, shalom, dear brethren, dear friends from the nations, brothers and sisters. We welcome you to journey through the scriptures. We're studying the scriptures or reading the scriptures from Genesis to Revelation, now in the book of Hebrew. My name is Brother Zachariah, welcoming you live on our Facebook pages at Messianic Davar on YouTube at Messianic Davar and at Injili ya Milele Yasho Meza. Be blessed as we go hand in hand. The book of Hebrew, chapter number 1, from verses number 1. Yahweh having of old spoken in many portions, as many ways to the fathers of by the Nabim, has in the last days spoken to us by the Son, whom he has appointed heir of all, through whom also he made the ages, who being the brightness of the esteem and the exact representation of his substance, and sustaining all by the word of his power, having made a cleansing of our sins through himself, sat down at the right hand of the greatness on high, having become so much better than the messenger, as he has inherited a more excellent name for them. For to which of the messengers did he ever say, "You are my son, today I have brought you forth"? And again, I shall be to him a father, and he shall be to me a son. And when he again brings the firstborn into the world, he says, "Let all the messengers of Yahweh do reverence to him." And of the messengers indeed he says, "Who is making his messenger spirit and his servant a flame of fire." But to the Son, "Your throne, O Elohim, is forever and ever, and the scepter of straightness in the scepter of the reign. You have loved righteousness and hated lawlessness, but because of this, Yahweh your Elohim has anointed you with the oil of gladness more than your companion. And you, Adonai, founded the earth in the beginning, and the Shemaim are the work of your hands. You shall perish, but you remain, and they shall all grow old like a garment, and like a mantle you shall fold them up. And they shall be changed, but you are the same, and your years shall not fail." And to which of the messengers did he ever say, "Sit at my right hand until make your enemies a footstool for your feet"? And they are not serving a spirit sent out to attend those who are about to inherit deliverance. Hebrews or Revelation chapter number 2. Because of this, we were to pay more attention to what we have heard, lest we drift away. For it was if the word spoken through messengers proved to me firm, and every transgression and disobedience received a right reward, how shall we escape if we neglect so great a deliverance, which first began to be spoken by our Master, and was confirmed to us by those heard? Elohim also bearing witness, both the signs and wonders with various miracles and gift of the Ruach HaKodesh, distributing according to his own desire. For it is not to messengers that him was subjected the world to come, concerning which we speak, but somewhere one has witnessed, saying, "What is man that you remember him? Or the son of man that you look after him? You have made him a little lower than the messengers. You have crowned him with esteem and respect, and put him over the work of your hand. You have put all the subjection under his feet, for in that he put all in subjection under him. He left not that it is not subjected to him. But now we do not yet see all subject to him, but we do see him who made for a little while lower than the messengers. Sure, because of the suffering death, crowned with esteem and respect, that by the favor of Elohim he should taste death for everyone. For it was fitting for him, because of whom all are and through whom all are, in bringing many sons to esteem, to make the princely leader of their deliverance perfect through suffering. For both he who makes Kadosh and those who are being made Kadosh are all of one, for which reason he is not ashamed to call them brothers, saying, "I shall announce your name to my brothers in the midst of the congregation. I shall sing praise to you. And again I shall put my trust in him, and again see I the children whom Yahweh gave me. Therefore, since the children share in flesh and blood, he himself similarly shared in the same, so that by means of his death he might, by means of death. Therefore, since the children share in flesh and blood, he himself similarly shared in the same, so that by means of his death he might destroy him having the power of death, that is the devil, and deliver those who throughout life were held in slavery by fear of death. For doubtless he does not take hold of messengers, but he takes hold of the seed of Abraham. So in every way he had to be made like his brother, in order to become a compassionate and trustworthy Kohen Hagadol in matters related to Yahweh, to make atonement for the sins of the people. For in what he had suffered himself being tried, he is able to help those who are tried. Hebrews chapter number 3. Therefore, Kadosh brothers, partakers of the calling of the Shemayim, closely consider the emissary and the Kohen Hagadol of our confession, Mashiach Yeshua, whom was trustworthy to him, who appointed him as also Moshe in all his house. For this one has been deemed worthy of more esteem than Moshe, as much as he who built the house enjoys more respect than the house. For every house is built by someone, but he who builds all in Elohim. And Moshe indeed was trustworthy in all his house as a servant, for a witness of what would be spoken. But Moshe as the son of his own house, whose house we are, if we hold fast the boldness and the boasting of the expectation firm to the end. Therefore, as the Ruach HaKadosh says, today if you hear his voice, do not harden your heart as in the rebellion, in the days of trial in wilderness, where your fathers tried me, proved me, and saw my work 40 years. Therefore, I loathed with that generation, and said, they always go astray in their heart, and they have not known my ways. As I saw in my wrath, if they shall enter in my rest, look out, brothers, lest there be in any of you a wicked heart of unbelief in falling away from the living Elohim. But encourage one another daily while it is called today, lest any of you be hardened by the deceit of sin, for we have become partakers of Mashiach if we hold fast the beginning of our trust firm to the end. While it is said today, if you hear his voice, do not harden your heart as in the rebellion. For who having had rebelled was it not all who came out of the Mitzrayim, led by Moshe, and with whom he rode 40 years? Was it not with those who sinned, whose corpses fell in the wilderness, and to whom he did swear that they will not enter into his rest, but to those who did not obey? So we see that they were unable to enter because of unbelief. Hebrews chapter number 4. Therefore, since a promise remains of entering into his rest, let us not fear, lest any of you seem to have come short of it. For indeed the good news was brought to us as well as to them, but the word which they had did not profit them, not having been mixed with belief in those who had it. For we who have believed do enter into the rest, as he has said, and as I saw in my wrath, if they shall enter into my rest, and yet his works have come into being from the foundation of the world. For somewhere he has said thus about the seventh day, and Elohim rested on the seventh day from all his work. And in this again, if they shall enter into my rest, since then it remains for some to enter into it. And those who formerly received the good news did not enter in because of disobedience. He again defines a certain day today, saying through David, so much later, as it has been said, today, if you hear his voice, do not harden your heart. For in Yahushua established them in rest, he would not have spoken of another day after that. So there remains a Sabbath keeping for the people of Elohim. For the one having entered into his rest has himself also rested from his work, as Ephraim for his own. Let us therefore do our utmost to enter into that rest, lest anyone fall after the same example of disobedience. For the word of Yahweh is living and working and sharper than any two-edged sword, cutting through even to the dividing of being of spirit and of joint and marrow, and able to judge the thoughts and the intention of the heart. And there is no creature hidden from his sight, but all are naked and laid before the eyes of him with whom in our account. Therefore, since we have a great Kohen Gadol who has passed through the Shemaim, Yeshua the son of Yahweh, let hold fast our confession. For we do not have a Kohen Gadol unable to sympathize with our weakness, but one who was tried in all respect as we are, apart from sin. Therefore let us come boldly to the throne of the favor in order to receive compassion and find favor for timely help.
The book of Hebrews, or the book of Ephraim, chapter number 5, verse number 1. For every Kohen take from among men is appointed behalf of men in the matters relating to Yahweh to offer both gifts and offering for sins, being able to have measures of filling, or for those who not knowing are being led astray, since he himself also surrounded by weaknesses, and account of this as to offer sins for sins, as for the people, so also for himself. And no one obtains this esteem for himself, but he who is called Yahweh, even as Aharon also. So Hamashiach did not extol himself to become the Kohen Gadol, but it was he who said to him, "You are my bane. Today I have brought you forth." And he knows also in another place, "You are the Kohen forever, according to an order to Melchizedek, who is in the days of his flesh, when he had offered up prayers and petitions so strong, crying and tears him by the able to save him from the death. He was heard, and because of reverence, through being a bane, he learned obedience by what he suffered, and having been perfected, he became a causer of everlasting deliverance to all of those obeying him, having been designated by Yahweh the Kohen Gadol according to order of Melchizedek, concerning who have too much to say, and had to explain, since you have become dull of hearing. For indeed, although this time ought to be the teachers and not someone to teach you again the first elements of the words of Yahweh, you have become such as need of milk and not of solid food. For everyone partaking of milk is inexperienced in the word of righteousness, for he is a child. But solid food is for the mature, whose senses has become trained by practice of to discern both good and evil. The book of Ephraim, chapter number 6, verse number 1. Therefore, having left the word of the beginning of Hamashiach, and let to go perfection, not laying again the foundation to repentance from the dead works of belief toward Elohim, the teaching of immersions and laying hands of the resurrection of the dead, and everlasting judgment. And this is the we shall do, if Elohim indeed permits, for it is impossible for those who were once enlightened to have tasted the gift of the Shemaim, have become the partakers of the Ruach HaKodesh, and have tasted the good word of Yahweh and the powers of the age to come, fall away and renew them again to repentance, having impelled themselves the bane of Yahweh again, and to put him to shame. For ground that is drinking the rain after falling on it, and bearing plants for feet, for those whom it is tilled, receives the barakah from Elohim. But if it brings forth thorns and turtles, and it is rejected and near to being cast, and the ends of up being burned. But although we speak in this way, beloved, we are persuaded concerning you of better matters, whose possesses deliverance. For Yahweh is not unrighteous to forget your work and labor of love, which you have shown toward his name, in that you have attended to the Kodeshim, and to do attend. We desire that each of you show the same eagerness to entertain to entire confirmation of expectation until the end, in order that you do not become sluggish, but imitate those who have through belief and patience inherited promises of Elohim, having promised Abraham, since he could swear by no one greater, so by himself, saying, truly Barakah shall be barak you, and increasing I shall increase you. And so after being patient, he obtained the promise. For men do not indeed swear by the one greater, that all the confirmation is of the oath until the end of the spirit. In this way Elohim resolving show even more clearly of the years of the promise of the unchangeableness of his purpose, confirmed by his oath, so that the two changeable matters in which is impossible for Elohim to lie, that we might be strong encouragement, we shall have bread of the refuge, and to lay hold of the expectation put before us, which he has and the anchor of high, both safe and firm, and entering into to that within the veil, where Yeshua has entered as a forerunner for us, having become Kohen Gadol forever according to the order of Melchizedek. Chapter number 7 of the book of Hebrews, the scripture says, for this Melchizedek, sovereign of Shalem, Kohen of the Most High Elohim, who met Abraham returning from the slaughter of the sovereigns of Barakim, and to whom the Abraham gave the part of all, first of all translated as the sovereign of righteousness, and then also the sovereign of Shechem, or Shalem, that is sovereign of peace, without father, without mother, without genealogy, with neither beginning of the days of neither the end of Kai, but having been made like the Ben of Yahweh, remains as Kohen for all time. Now, see how great this one was, into whom even the ancestor of Abraham gave the tenth of the choicest booty, and the truly I say to you, and who are the sons of Levi, and who will receive the kehuna, and they have a command to receive the tithes of the people according to the Torah, and this that is from their brothers, through they have come from the heroines of Abraham. However, the one whose genealogy is to derive from them receive the tithes from Abraham and Barak, one who are promises, and it is beyond the dispute that the rest is Barak and it better, and here is it is men who die that receive tithe, but here is someone who is witness that he lives, and the one might say through Abraham the Levi who received the tithes gave tithes, and for he gave still the loins of his father them when Melchizedek met him truly then in perfection with the Levitical kehuna, for under if the people were given the Torah, why was there still another Kohen? It is according to the order of Melchizedek and not according to the order of Aaron, for the kehuna being changed, the necessity of them that also takes place of change of row, for he who is said belongs to another tribe, for he who now attended at the altar, for it is perfectly clear that our dome arose from Yehudah, tribe about which Moshe never spoke of concerning kehuna, and this is clearer still, that if another Kohen raises his likeness of Melchizedek, who was become not according to the law of fresh command, but according to the power of endless sky, and he witnesses you Kohen forever according to the order of Melchizedek. For there is indeed laying aside for the former command because of the weakness and the profitable, and for the Torah perfected not to bring in the better expectation through which they draw near to Elohim. It was not without an oath, for they indeed became Kohanim without an oath, but he with an oath. But him he say, who said to him, Yahweh has sworn and shall not regret, you are the Kohen forever according to the order of Melchizedek, by as much as Yeshua has become a guarantor of better covenant. And indeed those who become the Kohanim were many, because they were prevented by death from continuing, but he because he remains forever as the unchangeable kehuna, therefore he is also able to save completely who's drawn near to Yahweh through him, ever living to make intercession for them. For it was fitting that we should have such Kohen Hagadol, kind, innocent, and defiled, having been separated from sinners and exalted above the Shamayim, who does not need also Kohen Hagadol to offer and to slaughter offerings day by day, first of his own sins, and then for those to the people, and for they did once and for all. And when he offered up himself for the Torah, appoints us Kohenim Gadol, when men have weaknesses, but the word of the oath which became of the Torah having been perfected forever. Ephraim chapter number 8 verse number 1. Now the summary, what we are saying is that we have such Kohen Gadol who is seated at the right hand of the throne of the greatness of the Shamayim, who serves in the mikdash of the true tent which Yahweh put up, not man. For every Kohen Gadol had appointed to offer the gifts on the slaughtering, so it was necessary for this one to have some more to offer. For if indeed we were on earth, he were on earth, he would not be a Kohen, since there was a Kohen who offered gifts according to the Torah, who served a copy of the shadow of the Shamayim, and Moshe was sworn, but he was about to make the tent, for he said that, see, that you make all according to the pattern that you show on the mountain, you shown on the mountain. But now he has obtained a more excellent service, inasmuch as he is there as a mediator, a better covenant which was constituted on a better promises. For if we with that first had been faultless, that no praise would have been sought for a second for finding fault for them. With the eyes the days are coming, says Yahweh, when I shall conclude with the house of Israel, with the house of Yehudah, to renew a new covenant, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day when I took by the hand to lead them out of the land of Mizraim, because they did not continue continue in my covenant, and as he granted them, and says Yahweh, because this covenant that I shall make with them, the house of Israel, those says Yahweh, giving them the rules in their mind, and I shall write them in their hearts, and they shall be the Yeroim, they shall be my people. They shall by no means teach each one's neighbor and each one's brother, saying, Know Yahweh, because they all shall know me, from the least of them to the greatest of them, because I shall forgive their unrighteousness, their sins, and their righteousness shall no longer remember. But saying, renewed, he has made the first old, now that becomes old and growing aged is near disappearing. The book of Hebrews chapter number 9 verse number 1. Now the first of indeed is in the regulations of worship in the other mikdash, for a tent was prepared, and the first part of which it was lampstand and the table and the showbread, which was called the mikdash, and after the second veil the part of the tent which is called the most kodesh, to which belonged to the golden censer and the ark of the covenant overlaid, and all the sides of gold, which is the golden and pot, and that the manna, Lord, and alone that budded in the tables of the covenant, and the tablets of the covenant, and above the cherubim of the overshadowing of the place of the atonement, about which we do not speak in detail. And this having been prepared like this, the Kohanim always went into the first part of the tent comprising the services, but into the second part of the Kohen Gadol went alone once a year, not without blood, but with which he offered for himself for sins of ignorance for the people. The Ruach HaKodesh, signifying the law, the way in which into Kodesh Mikdash, ways not yet being manifest, while the first tent has a standing, which was a parable for the present time, in which both the gifts of slaughterings are offered, which are unable to perfect the one serving as his conscience, only for the food, drinks, and different washings, and the fresh regulation imposed until a time of straightening out. But Mashiach, having become a Kohen Gadol in the coming of the good, through the greater and the more perfect tent, not made with hands, that is not this creation, entered into the Kodesh Mikdash once of all, and not with the blood of the goats and calves, but with his own blood, having obtained everlasting redemption. For if the blood of bulls and goats and ashes of heifer, sprinkling to the fire, makes the Kodesh for the cleansing of the flesh, how much more shall be the blood of Mashiach, and through the everlasting Ruach offered he himself unblemished to Yahweh. Cleanse your conscience from the dead works to survey the living Elohim, and because of this he is the mediator of the renewed covenant, so that death having taken place for the redemption of the transgression under the first covenant, of those who are called might receive the promise of everlasting inheritance. For where the covenant it is necessary for the death for the covenanted of to establish the covenant of those the dead is firm, since it has never varied while the covenanted one is living. Therefore, not even as the first is instigated without blood. For when according to the Torah the command has been spoken with Moshe told the people, and he to the blood, the heifer with water, and the scarlet wool, and the hyssop, and sprinkled blood in the book itself, and all the people, saying, This is the blood of the covenant which Yahweh commanded you. And the same way they sprinkled the blood, both the tent and all the vessels of the service, and according to the Torah and all Moses, everything is cleansed by the blood, and without the shedding of blood there is no forgiveness. And it was necessary then that the copies of the ones of the Shamayim should be cleansed with this, but the ones of the Shamayim themselves be better slaughterings offering than this. For Mashiach has not entered into the Mikdash made by hands, figures of two, but into the Shamayim itself, and now appear into the presence of Yahweh on our behalf. Not that he should offer himself often, as the Kohen Gadol enters into Mikdash year by year, with the blood not his own. For if so, he will not have read suffer often since the foundation of the world, but now he has appeared once and for all, the end of the ages, to put away sin, but offering by the offering for himself, as it is waits for men to die once, and after that comes judgment. And also Mashiach, having been offered once to bear the sins of many, shall appear the second time apart from sin to those waiting for him and to deliverance. The book of IMYM chapter number 10 verse number 1. For the Torah, having a shadow of the good to come, and not the image of itself in the matters, was never able to make perfect of those who draw near with the same slaughterings of the offerings of they continue year by year, otherwise they will not have ceased to have offered. Because of this, who served once cleansed would have to be consciences of sins, but in a reminder of sins year by year, for it is impossible for blood of bulls and goats to take away things. Therefore, coming into the world, that he says, slaughtering and meal offerings you did not desire, but a body you have prepared for me in burnt offerings, even for things for you did not deride. Then I say, see, I come in the law of the book, it has been written concerning me, and you desire, O Elohim, saying above the slaughter and the meal offering and burnt offering, even since sin you did not desire, nor delighted in, which are offered according to the Torah. Then he said, see, I come to you desire, I come to do your desire, O Yahweh. He takes away the first to establish the combat that the desire had come being Kodesh through the offering of the one body, Yahshua Mashiach, once and for all. And he did the every Kohen sent day by day doing the service and repeatedly offering the same slaughter offerings, and which are never able to take away sins. But he, having offered the slaughter offering for sins for all time, sat down at the right hand of Yahweh, waiting for that end onward until his enemies are made footstool for his feet. For by one offering he has been perfected for all time those who are being Kadosh and the Ruach HaKodesh, and also witnesses to us that after having said before this the covenant that shall make with them after those days, says Yahweh, giving my laws into their hearts and their mind, then shall write them, and the years since they are lawlessness shall remember no more. Now where there is forgiveness, there is no longer slaughter offerings of sin. So brothers, having boldness to enter into the Mikdash by the blood Yahshua, by new and living in a way this instituted for us through the veil, that in his flesh Kohen Gadol over the house of Yahweh, let us draw near with a true heart and completeness of belief, having our hearts sprinkled from a wicked conscience and our bodies washed with a clean water. Let us hold fast on the confession of our expectation without the yielding of the promise is trustworthy. Let us be concerned for one another in order to stir up love and good works, for not forsaking the assembly of ourselves together in the habit of some, encouraging and so much more as the day and coming near. For if we sing purposely after we have received in the knowledge of the truth, we no longer remains there the slaughter offering for sins, but some offerings anticipation of the judgment and the feast fire, which is about to consume the opponents. Anyone who has discredited the Torah of Moshe dies without compassion of the witness of 2 or 3 witnesses. How much more worst of the punishment you think they shall deserve who has trampled the ben of Yahshua underfoot, recounted the blood of the covenant which was kadosh and common, as was stated by the Ruach of favor. For we know him, and he said, the vengeance is mine, he shall repay, as says Yahweh. And again Yahweh shall judge his people. It is fearsome to fall in the hands of the living Elohim, but remember the former days when you after you were united and you endured the great struggle with offerings, and on the one hand of you are exposed the reproaches precious, and on the other hand you became the sharers of those who are so treated. For you sympathize with me in the chains, and you accepted with joy and Caesar your possession, knowing that you have made a lasting possession for yourselves in IMYM, and do not then lose the boldness that which of the great reward, for you have need and need to endurance, that when you have done the desire of Elohim, you receive the promise. For yet a little while he who is coming shall come and shall not delay, but the righteous shall live by belief. But if anyone draws back, my being has no pressure in him. But we are not of those who draw back to destruction, but our belief to the preservation of high. The book of Hebrews chapter number 11 verse number 1. And belief is the substance of what is expected, the proof of what is not seen. For by this the elders obtain witness. By belief we understand that the ages were prepared by the word of Yahweh, so that what is seen was not made of what is invisible. By belief Abel offered to Elohim a greater slaughter offering than Cain, through which he obtained witness that he was the righteous Elohim, witnessing the gifts, and though it having died he still speaks. By belief Enoch was translated and has not to see death, and was not found, because Elohim had translated him. For before his translation was obtained witness that he had praised Elohim. But without belief it is impossible to praise him. For he who comes to Elohim has to believe that he is, and he is able to reward for those who earnestly seek him. By belief Noah, having been warned of what was as yet unseen, having feared they prepared the ark to save the house, and through which is condemned by the world, to become the he of the righteousness which is according to belief. By belief Abraham obeyed when he was called, and to go out to the place which he was about to receive as an inheritance, as he went out in knowing where he was going. By belief he sojourned in the land of promises as a stranger, dwelling in tents, and Isaac and Jacob and heirs of the some promise, for he was looking for a better, and having foundations of the builder in the make his Elohim and belief, and also Sarah has been able to conceive her seed, and she bore her children, and she was the past of the normal age, because she deemed him trustworthy who had promised, and as so from one, and to his good as did as were born, and is numerous the stars of the Shammai, and countless of the sand which is by the seashore, in belief, and all this died not having received the promises, but seeing that them from a distance welcomed and embraced them, and confessed that they were aliens and strangers on earth. For those who speak in this way make a clear that they seek a home country, and yet if they indeed kept remembering that if from they had come out, they would have had the chance to return. But now they long for a better, that is the Shamaim. Therefore